Tamam bingo, bir sabah billboard. Ben Fero King Kong, Kimbo gibi deliyim ho. Boş ver dildo, var baba fingo. Delirin yok, bu da bingo. Hadi billboard, ben Fero King Kong. Deliyim boy, ismim.
Bonjour, espoir. I'm a one head. I'm making this because I want to upload this to YouTube, because on YouTube there's no tier 9 tier list by anybody, and I figured I would be the special snowflake and make one. We have tier 9, boys. Supreme tier is gonna be like the KPZ 50T, and we have to compare everything to that. I made these ratings according to these tanks, like how comfortable they feel, how flexible they are. So we have, these are the tier 9 tanks we have in the game right now that are currently available. And we have the following tiers. We have Supreme, which is obviously the best of the best. And then I made a special one, if it had good pen. Now, this one is for the tanks that really shine in tier 8 or tier 9 MM, but cannot shine in tier 10 environment because the lack of gold pen. I'm thinking like M46 Patton, E50, you know, those tanks, the old ones. Then you have good, which is just decent, I guess. Then you're like alright, and then you have can work, and then you have trash tier as well. So I guess it's fairly obvious what these might mean. So first of all, we have the VZ 111 Model 4, which is the tier 9 Chinese with 490 alpha damage, 10 seconds reload, usable armor, okay turret, very good mobility. Now, I think this tank belongs. I think I have to make an extra tier. I have to make an extra one. We're gonna have two blues one. We're gonna have one blue with, if it had good pen. And then we're gonna have a second blue, which is gonna be like really good. So I'm gonna make one. Add row above. New. Make it teal. And then say like very good. Alright. So now I'm gonna put this tank into very good tier. It's very comfortable to play. It has awesome penetration ratios. It has really good AP shells. It has really good heat shells. 340 heat shell is just awesome. At tier 9, you can just pretty much go through anything. I don't really care about getting demonetized on YouTube Techron, so that's fine. I can lower the like this a bit. So we have the tier 9 VZ. I think it's very good, really good mobility, really nice alpha damage, an okay gun with good characteristics, okay armor. But since it has the mobility and the gun, if you couple those together, you're gonna get a very good tank. And it's just the only reason it's not supreme tier is because the gun handling obviously is heavy like, so you're gonna miss shots. I don't think there's any argument about this. Like, alright, next one, VZ120. Now this tank is super bad. I did mark the VZ120 like a couple of months ago, and the tank could work. The T343 works at tier 8. This tank, however, does not work, and there's a sole reason of it having 3.6 seconds aiming time or something like that. Just no, bro. It just doesn't work. No, 3.6 seconds doesn't work. It's just trash. The armor is trash. It's okay. It's nothing special, I guess, but you get a lot of fuel tank damage and a lot of fires frontally, and a lot of ammo racks as well. And the mobility is like kind of okay, but the gun just kills the entire tank completely. So I think there's no argument about this. I won't put it in the can work section because the gun is just so abysmal that it's literally impossible to do anything with it in the long run. Then we have the VZ tier 9. It's the VZ tier 9 is kind of funny. It's kind of like a better tier 10 VZ in a way, because it's got like small alpha and a better gun in terms of like handling and not that bad DPM. I'll put it in the can work tier. It's still like very lackluster. It's not really good. Hey, it could be like alright as well between these two, but I'm saying it can work. Like it's worse than alright. I think it is better tier 4 tier than tier. Yeah, it is 100% better. Next one we have the VZTD, which is a TD, turretless TD. I guess it can work in tier 8 environment because people just don't flank you in tier 8 that much. It's not as common as in tier 10, for example. You can put it in the can work tier, I guess. It supposedly has 750 alpha damage and really good pen ratios from what I've seen. I didn't play this tank yet. I guess it's alright. Like, alright. Škoda is definitely, I don't know, either supreme or very good. The Škoda is very decent. It has really good damage potential, really good shells, APCR heat, very good gun handling as well. Armor can bounce some shots, especially the side is like kind of troll sometimes. I think the Škoda is very flexible. You have enough mobility to rotate around the map. I guess because of lack of armor, lack of turret armor, I guess you have to put it as very good though. So yeah, I guess 5120 is just absolute trash. There's nothing good about this tank. Abysmal 3.3 seconds reload between the shots. Literally no armor. You cannot bounce anything in this. You permanently get tracked. You get ammo wrecked a lot. There is nothing good about this tank. It is just trash. I don't know. A lot of people like it for some reason, but I just don't know, man. For me, it's not really good, and it just can't work, man. Unless you're facing complete potatoes, man, it just won't work. All right, EBR 90. I guess there's not one tier 9 that's better at scouting than the EBR 90. At tier 9. I mean, what do you have at tier 9? You have 1390, RU. Both are kind of obsolete. Then you have the FE. T49. T54 lightweight. Yeah, it is the best tier 9 light. That's why I'm putting it as supreme, because the competition of it is just non-existent. What kind of light can compete with this at tier 9? None of these. None. The lightweight cannot compete with that. This tank cannot compete with that. This tank has damage potential, it has mobility, it has the ability to spot, and it has still high HE pen, I believe, so you can kind of wreck other people with it. And the only reason I'm putting the supreme is because it's not a very good tank. It's nothing compared to the EBR 105 or the EBR 75 at tier 8. However, since it has no competition at its tier in terms of light tanks, I think it just belongs into the supreme tier. Char Future. Alright, this is a very interesting one. The tank has multiple points that I would like to highlight. One, the armor is actually kind of trollish, which you can make work. And since the gun is like literally on the top of the turret, you can make very easy peaks over ridge lines with it, and the turret is kind of bouncy on some angles. It's alright. The gun handling is absolutely amazing, and even though it is an auto loader, it's got one of the best gun handlings at tier 9 in my opinion. It's very good, but, and the big but, it has 1900 DPM fully improved. 1900 DPM. Which means you need long games for it to work. Long games for it to work. You also need a team for it to work. So, as I said, flexibility wise, the first two tiers for sure not. It has good pen, because this is a good category. This is like a different category, as I said. This category is for like very good tanks which don't have pen at tier 10. I would just say it's good. It's very situational. You need very long games to make it work, and you need very long games to do damage, and you need a lot of tier 8 games with it. I don't think it belongs into the very good tier, and I'm not gonna put it here because it has a good pen, so I guess it belongs into good. I'm not putting it into a very good section because the Char cannot compete with the Skoda in terms of damage in the long run. Just cannot compete with it. And if you compare these two tanks, there is no question about that. I'm gonna put it in the good tier. I don't think it deserves to be very good. Alright, next one, 1390. It's a fun tank. Spotting capabilities are kind of lacking. It's a very long tank, very easy to hit, very easy to track. I guess it's alright because it is a fun mechanic. I think the 90 is alright. I'm not putting it into the can work tier because it's kind of fun to play with the small gun. 4 times 240, like that's what, 960 alpha damage for the entire clip. Okay-ish gun handling, I guess. Alright, then we have the Foch. Foch is a turretless TD with no armor, with a gigantic poly slide on the top of it, which is really easy to pen even for tier 8s. It doesn't have any gun depression. The flexibility of the Foch is literally equal to 0. So I think it just belongs into the trash tier, unfortunately. The MX-30 back in the day used to be like a superstar tank at tier 9. Not really a superstar, but it was kind of good because it was one of the first tier 9 mediums with actual pen. In the past it was kind of okay. I would say it's good. I'll put it in the good tier because it's kind of flexible. You still have pen, you still have a gun, and you still have some kind of mobility. So if you have those 3, I guess it belongs to the good tier. Very good tier, 100% not, and obviously this tier is not good for this, so not really compatible because it has pen. So I'm just gonna slide this into the good tier, so yeah. Nothing special about it, it's an okay tank. Batchet AP. It is kind of flexible because it still has mobility and it has a clip, and you can rotate with it. And that makes it kind of flexible. I'm not gonna put it in the can work tier. It's not trash, definitely not on this level. Definitely not on these tanks level. I think it's, yeah, you get a lot of module damage in that, which is really annoying, but then again, you get a lot of module damage in most of these tanks. I don't know, man. I think I'm just gonna leave it in the can work tier. It's not really good. The problem is you have 6 shells, 300 alpha damage, and it's really hard to make it work in the long run. Because you need like what, 5 times 3, you need 15 seconds to unload. 1800 damage. In 15 seconds, you are dead in tier 9. You're just dead. You cannot do anything. You get tracked, since it's really easy to track. This is the VZ120, not the 54. So yeah, I'm gonna put it in the can work tier. It's not trash, but it's okay, I guess. So, alright, next. AMX M4. The AMX M4 is very fun. It is very fun. It's got really interesting guns. The DPM gun is actually fairly good. The armor kind of works at tier 9. It's very reliable in my opinion. It's reliable because it has okay armor, which going to bounce. I think it's not on par with the VZ. I think this is just good. If you compare it to the VZ5 or VZ14, sorry, it is just not on par with that. It's just worse. You cannot do cheeky pushes with it. It doesn't have mobility. It doesn't have like that 490 alpha gun with really good reload. I think at the moment, chat, I think tier 9 light tanks are in a very bad spot. They're just bad. They are just bad. You don't have alpha damage. You don't have the gun handling with most of them. You can't really spot with them because the EBR just kind of outspots you at tier 9, and they're not really special. Like back in the day, when these tanks, both the 1390 and the RU were tier 8, they were really fucking fun. They were really fun, and after their transition to tier 9, they just kind of took that away, and it's not really working anymore. I don't know what the issue is. I think it's other tanks having more HP and these tanks not having alpha damage. So I think I'll slide this into the alright tier, I guess, next to the 90. I mean, it's not worse than a 90, I think. I don't know, man. RU is actually kind of bad because it's really easy to hit, it's really easy to pen, it doesn't have the best gun. I think I'll put this down to the can work. The 90 is more fun and more flexible because it has the clip, and the RU doesn't even have that. 55A. Now, this is a personal favorite of mine. The 55A is definitely a very good tank. It has alpha because it has 320 alpha, which is not the best, but it has really good reload for it. It's really accurate. You have like 220 AP shells, which is not bad. You can shoot 330 heat at tier 10s as well. So it makes it very reliable in my book, and it's got decent HP. The armor is kind of lackluster, but you can still side scrape with it because it's a Soviet medium tank. The turret is okay. It can be bouncy, but in high tiers you're just gonna get auto panned unless you wiggle it. But since its gun handling is very good and rewarding, I'll just put it in the very good tier. So I think I'll leave this here. It's not supreme. It's not supreme by all means. It's just a worse KPZ if you think about it. But I'll put it in the very good tier, 100%. All right, I think the Moisian does not require me to commentate it any further. It's just a big box of HP. It's not really good for anything. It's slow. Armor is literally non-existent. It's just a big HP ball. It's kind of useless, to be honest. So I just put it in the trash tier. All right, KPZ is... I would say the KPZ is supreme tier. It's got everything. It's got accuracy, it's got armor, it's got a sick turret, it's got really bouncy upper plate, it's got a really good gun, it's got mobility. The only thing it kind of lacks is DPM, but it is just so good. It's such a good all-rounder. It definitely belongs into the supreme tier in my opinion. I think this is the medium tank that you have to compare most mediums to, and the Leo PT obviously. Alright, Yak Tiger. I'll put the Yak Tiger into the good tier. Two reasons. One, the gun of the Yak Tiger is just so good. It is so good. You have 8 seconds reload for 560 alpha damage. It is so good. It's so much fun to play that tank. I don't like playing turretless TDs or slow TDs, but when I marked the Yak Tiger, it was so much fun. And if you load APCR shells, then it's like 356 pen or 352 pen, something like that. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. It is so good. I don't know. It's a personal favorite of mine. The thing is, what makes it work? It doesn't have any armor. It doesn't have any kind of usable armor. Even against tier 8, you're just gonna get pen most of the time. But, and that's a big but, you have 2.1k HP, which you can use to trade people. Like, you pick somebody, you pick a heavy tank. Say you track him for 560, you take one for 440, for example, and if it's a good angle, you can just keep facing him, and you can double track him even, or even just shoot him in the cupola, because the gun is really accurate and you can pan him most of the time, even in the turret, because it is high pan. It's not very good obviously because it's a turretless city and it's not flexible at all, but it's good, 100% sure. Even in bad games, you go to a position, you can have a lot of damage because of the alpha damage, and the DPM is just really good. So definitely good tier, there's no argument about that. Alright, next one, and this is why I'm really sad. E50 is such a good all-rounder. It is such a good all-rounder. It has mobility, it has armor, it has the best gun. In my opinion, if this gun had like really good gold shells, at least like 300 or something, it would be so good. But it just gets handicapped in tier 10 so much. Like, it just gets handicapped in tier 10 so much. So I'm gonna put it in the if it had good pen tier. It would be very good, but I made this tier just for tanks like the E50. So yeah, E75, it's alright, I get. No, I think it's in the can work tier, to be honest. E75 is very slow. The armor is really getting negated by people firing gold shells at you. Even AP shells go through the turret face and the lower plate as well. It's like what, 12 seconds reload. It's not really flexible. I think it's in the can work tier. It's not trash by any means, because then it would have to be a Moisian, but I think it's definitely in the can work tier and not in the alright tier. Next one, however, for VK45. The VK45 is definitely one step above the E75 in terms of armor. It doesn't have that big, gigantic lower plate that's like pennable. It still has the same shitty turret, which sucks, but you can side scrape with this thing very well, because obviously it is a rear mounted turret and it's very useful. There's not much to say about it, to be honest. Like, it's just alright. It's fine. Alright, Leo PTA, definitely supreme tier. Definitely fast, flexible, comfortable to play, insane penetrations on the on the APCR shells, both of them, both the gold and the standard one. Good accuracy, insane alpha damage, okay DPM, but the gun just works so much better than any of these tanks like in tier 9 and tier 8. It's so good. It's good against tier 10 as well. It's really accurate. There's no argument about it. It definitely belongs next to the KPZ. So Waffle now. This is another personal favorite of mine. People like to play the Waffle with the 128mm, which I don't like to do because the 128mm kind of gets lost in the current meta. However, what I like to do with it is mount the 150mm and spam heat in the heavy line. And that's a lot of fun actually. Try it out, boys. I think the tank is good. And just because of that, like you have 13 seconds reload for it is better DPM than the Gorilla with the big gun. And it's not actually that bad accuracy wise. So if you take the big gun, you go to the heavy line and you peekaboo other heavies, even if you take a shot, you're just gonna shoot them for 750 every single time. I think it's very fun. I don't think it's alright. I don't think it's on par with the 90. Even with the 128 you can have good games, but I just don't like it that much. Because how the games are being played out in 2020, you can't really snipe. Standard B, I think the Standard B is very flexible. The Standard B has got one big problem, and that's the lack of actual DPM and the lack of armor. It has a really good gun, it has really good mobility, it is okay HP. I think I'm contemplating whether I should put it Supreme or very good. After they're going to nerf the Standard B, it's definitely going to be down in the good section. Not in the alright section, but definitely in the good section. Right now I think I'll put it in the very good section. I think it's not really comparable to the KPZ or the Leo PTA in terms of reliability. It's very reliable still, but I think at this point in time, I think it's the max I can go for is very good for this tank. It is just not KPZ or Leo PTA level in my book. Type 61. Type 61 is super underrated. You guys don't even know, most of you haven't even played the tank after the buff. They gave it really good DPM. And I mean really good DPM. I think it's either very good or good. It's kind of unreliable because of the gigantic turret, and it's really high and it's really easy to hit. But the gun is amazing. You don't even need to spam heat on it because it's 258 AP and it's very good, very fast. It's like the STV velocity on AP. I think if you're a Unicom, you can put it in the very good tier, but it's definitely between good and very good. I would not say this is standard B or Skoda level or 55A level. I think it's like in between them here. I'll make an extra tier for this tank. Type 61 and Co. Okay, yeah. I think it's between good and very good. By no means it's supreme, obviously, because as I said, the platform of the tank is very bad. I mean, the upper blade can bounce some shots, and the mantle is kind of troll, but it's never gonna be a supreme tier, so. Alright, Type 5 or Type 4, I don't need to talk about it. I think it's just a big, massive, juicy piñata. Especially after the HE nerf, it's just not really fun. It's not flexible at all. You get penned most of the time if they load gold. You're a big RT magnet as well. Most of the time, if a tank like the 55A goes next to you, you can't even shoot down on them because you just don't have the gun impression to shoot. So yeah, I think it's just trash tier for me. Super heavies at tier 9 are kind of bad. 50 TP. I think the 50 TP is good. And the reason for that is it has really good alpha damage. It has okay reload for it. It is kind of okay gun handling for the alpha it has. It has okay armor. It's a good all-rounder at tier 9. I feel like it's nowhere near very good. Nowhere near these tanks. It's okay. It's good. And I'm not gonna put it next to the VK because it's just so much more useful and more flexible than the VK. So, alright, STRV. I guess the STRV is in the can work tier. problem with the STRV is the absolute lack of accuracy. It's just so inaccurate. This tier 9 is nothing compared to the tier 8 or tier 10 counterparts of it. I don't know. I think it's just in the can work. I'm not gonna put it as trash because it's just better than these tanks combined. I think it's just situational, and it's not alright either. It's just next one, Emil 2. I think the Emil 2 is good, and it's good because it's kind of unreliable. The gun is really troll. It has sick damage output, however, so I might put it as very good. Personally, I don't really like the gun, how it behaves, but the turret is impenetrable, and it's literally a crown mag in a tier 9. You need a good gun, and the Type 61 has it, all these tanks have it up here. But the Emil for me doesn't belong there. I think it's just good. If there would be another tier between very good and good, I would put it like in between them, but I don't think it belongs into a very good tier, in my opinion. Alright, UDS 16. The UDS 16 is kind of fun to play. The gun is mediocre. The armor works. It's alright, like it's nothing special. You're not gonna be doing like 10k damages with this tank because the gun handling is just not good enough for that. Like it's not on Type 61 level, not on standard B level, Skoda 55 AK Pizzilio PTA. It's not on those level. If the UDS had good pan, it would be out. It would be very good in my opinion. Actually, I forgot that it has bad pan. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of between the Type 61 and these tanks, I guess. Alright, next one, the GSOR. I'll be honest with you guys, I have no idea how this tank works. I have not looked at the characteristics of it. I have not looked at any kind of... But it's just so huge and it's so easy to hit. Ouch, man. That's horrible. 1800 DPM. Anytime is not bad, but you're gonna be needing more than that. It's fine, I guess. The view range is fine, but the tank, however, is not, so... The Conqueror is... In my book, the Conqueror is never going to be supreme because it doesn't have any mobility. And in tier 9, you need mobility. Brothers in Arms. You only get 2.6k DPM. 9 seconds reload for 400 alpha damage. That's not really good. The only thing about this tank is the gun is absolutely amazing. It's literally an S-Conk at tier 9. Exactly. You're going to be hitting most of your shots. 90% of your shots if you're a good player. But this reload is just so bad. I don't think it's supreme tier by any means. Like, these tanks up here are really flexible. I think it's definitely outstanding because it's probably the best tier 9 heavy. The armor sucks. The armor sucks. Like, this is a joke. 120. Like, you can't really side scrap with it because you just get auto penned. So the armor kind of sucks. The turret is okay. The turret is very good. The turret is very good. Obviously, high pen guns are gonna shoot through your mantlet and especially your turret ring as well, and upper plate is like butter. However, the gun handling is very good. DPM is okay. It's gonna go into the outstanding tier. It's not supreme because obviously lack of mobility and just not that cheeky as these three are. Alright, Centurion 7-1. The 7-1 lacks the DPM. It has slightly better DPM. Or slightly worse DPM than the Conk actually, and it's a medium tank. The gun is good, but is this going to be enough in tier 9? I don't think so. The tank itself is gigantic. The turret's very susceptible to pens, especially on the cheeks here. Even the Mantet has some holes in there, like 240, 230. People are gonna hit that. People are gonna snapshot that. 250 face. The cupola is not that hard to hit. This one is not that hard to hit with heat as well. The upper plate is mediocre. The side is completely... It's gigantic. The tank is gigantic. You have hash as well, but this hash is not that useful most of the time because, let's be honest, if you're facing... The velocity is crazy on it though. It's probably one of the best APC Rushel at tier 9, but you don't have gold shells and it's a big impact. If this tank had gold shells, I think we found it. I think it belongs in here. It belongs into the good tier, but it's never gonna be very good. It's never gonna be the Type 61 level. But I'll put it here because this is like a special category for these tanks. It doesn't have gold shells, and they should should have, like, I don't know what's the point of this. It's 105mm HE. Like, I don't know what the point is to have 2 HE shells on one tank. Same on the FETD. Like, there's no point in having that. Why not just like have 3 kinds of different shell types, and then you have APCR, you have heat, you have hash, and then a good player would use all 3 of that. Nobody in their right mind would load any HE, like any normal HE, unless they are low in credits or free to play players, I guess. So I'm just gonna slam this next to the 50 and the UDES. I think it's... Personally, I don't like this tank. I don't know, it's nothing special. The Tortoise. The Tortoise is insane DPM. I think it's super situational. Sometimes it can work as much as the STRV can, because I'm comparing it to the STRV's flexibility right now. But it's just such... It's so easy to pan, like... I don't know. It's very slow, it's very easy to track. It's a gigantic target, very arty magnety. I think it's super situational. And can work stands for situational. We can even revert to that. But can work is like... It more reflects that these tanks are kind of bad, so... Than if I wrote situational, because it's like... Yeah, I don't know. I think I'll leave it there. Not much to talk about that. The good DPM. If you get in a good situation, you can do a lot of damage, but that's just it. Nothing really stands out. Armor is mediocre, speed is bad. Conway, I also kind of put it to the cam work tier. The 120mm gun is insane on it. Weekend can be fun if you're shooting HE, like premium HE or hash, 770 alpha. It can be fun, but... And it has a turret. And it has 1.5 aiming time, 6 seconds reload. It literally does everything better than the Tortoise, in my opinion. You don't really need the armor on this. You have no HP. You have like, what, 50, 100? Theoretically, it should perform better than the Tortoise, because it has mobility. It's gigantic, however. It kind of has like a troll turret. Dismantled can be very troll sometimes, like 290, 330 at some places. It is very easy to track, very easy to hit, but if you go into a PvP fight against a Conway with a heavy tank, you are going to, if the guy is good or decent enough to pan you every time, you are going to lose a lot of HP. And I think that makes this tank a tier above these, because it's just a better Tortoise. The 128 is like, it's like superior to this gun in terms of like reliability, I guess, and alpha damage. Obviously 560, it's a lot of fun to play that. They are different, I guess. This tank's more like a Tortoise on steroids, in my opinion. It's got 6 DPM, like 4K almost. I think I'll put it in the right. I think there's no argument about that. D49 is just trash. It just doesn't work anymore. The small gun is mediocre. The tank is gigantic, very easy to hit. The big gun can be fun, but I don't think it reaches this cam work level. I don't think it's reliable enough to go up there. Like A-Phase, the A-Phase is definitely Conqueror level. The armor on it is very unreliable, and I'll show you again why. Because just full list, USA, A-Phase. A lot of people don't know how to pen this tank, and then you go into kajzoo, and I'll show you this part here. 270 right here, 265, 270, 268, and if you're facing like a Haldan A-Phase, it goes down to 190. This entire part is very weak, and if you like hold on, like say like, I don't know, he's facing you like this, from like a ridgeline or something, Glacier for example, you aim here or here, 190. You're gonna pen that all the time, and it's very easy to hit. Like it's a gigantic triangle from this. You see, like it's a triangle that you're gonna hit most of the time. Now the upper plate is very weak. Even if it seems angled, you'll pen it most of the time with higher caliber AP shots, or even like 120. Like you can see this 220. Like if you load heat, it's just absolutely Not gonna. The entire tank is just auto pen. Like, you look at this, even if you angle like this, just unless you hit it on the very edge here, you are going to penetrate. It is very mediocre. The side against heat is super bad. You know why? Because this part right here sticks out, and it's very easy to hit. And if you shoot like in this gap, and you manage to hit this part, you're just gonna auto pen all the time, even with AP, I believe. Yeah, like. And the upper side can also be bent. If you load heat, 270, 280, he's never gonna bounce those shots unless you get really unlucky. So I think it's really easy to punish AE phases. A lot of people are scared to shoot at this or even here because they don't know about that, or even they didn't know about this triangle. But the gun handling, however, is very good, and the DPM is alright. Let's compare it to the Kong though. I think we have to compare it to the Kong. It has slightly better DPM than the Kong. 340 heat pen, which is very nice. Even though it's not APCR, it's very nice. It's kind of fast. Like, look at the 1067 velocity. It's very good for a heat shell. I think I'll put it at a very good tier. I don't think it's Kong level because you just can't side script as much, and the turret is not as reliable as the Kong. I might anger some people with this decision, but I didn't enjoy it as much as playing the Kong. T30. T30 is a good tank. It's not very good by all means. It's decent. It's sort of reliable because of the alpha damage and the pen. It's fine. It's never gonna be very good because obviously it's not flexible at all. It's good. If you put the waffle here, I think the T30 belongs here as well, because the T30 is like very underrated in my opinion sometimes. Can punish people with it with the big alpha. T95. Don't even need to talk about this T95, like, it's just so slow. Most of the time you're not gonna be able to make it work. You're so slow. You get flanked, you die. Nah, it just feels bad, man. It's not even Tortoise level because you have no DPM. You can't even. The thing is with if you get Yol with the Tortoise, like a medium is trying to flank you or even a heavy, you can double track him most of the time. With this tank, you never have the chance unless you're using the small gun. So yeah. Pattern. I think it's obvious. It belongs in the if it's a good pen tier. The Pattern has a very handful gun. It's very good. The aiming time is really good. The accuracy might be shit on paper, but actually it's very good. If the Pattern had pen, it would definitely be my favorite tier 9 because I just like it so much. And the thing I like about it is it's a cheese tank, and by cheese tank I mean you go to the US M46 Pattern cheese tank. I mean the turret is in the front, right? And it makes it coupled with the where can I see the gun impression values? Oh, 10 degrees of gun impression, exactly. You couple it with 10 degrees of gun impression, you can peak ridge lines with only your gun peeking out. And the turret is kind of troll. The turret is very troll, like you have parts 300, 600, 280, like 300. It's kind of reliable, let me say that. It's kind of reliable. Very troll, but the aiming time is just so good, and you have okay DPM as well. Like, let me fully equip this. It has the same DPM as a fully equipped Centurion. I think that tells you a thing or two about this tank, right? 3.3k DPM, 7 seconds reload, 1.7 aiming time, coupled with the 10 degrees of gun impression. Even though you lack the penetration, 265, you can snipe weak spots with it. It is just not gonna be this level because it doesn't have any pen, and against tier 10 you're gonna lack so much. M103. A lot of people hate on the M103, and it's a rightful hate because it doesn't have anything special. I did remark it a couple of months ago, and the gun is very good. The gun is really good. It's very easy. It's very easy to make it work if you're a good player. Belongs between alright and can work. It's definitely not trash because the gun can work, as I said, and you definitely can bounce shots if you manage to add your cupola. You can side script with it. A lot of people don't really know how to snapshot cupolas, so situational, I guess. So let's put it there. Aiming time is much better. It's 0.19, but it's gonna feel like a lot when you upgrade it with fully improved. or just not even fully improved, but like actual equipment. Dispersion is better. The gun handling is much worse when you're turning the turret, obviously. Has less degrees of gun depression. Is slower, less engine power. The soft stats are pretty much the same. Hull armor is... The thing is, the phase hull is like trash. Like you can't really... The M103 can bounce shots on the upper plate. I think we'll keep it here. I think we'll keep it here in the cam work section. A 54E1. It recently got buffed and like kind of... I'm not gonna say reworked because they didn't really rework it. They just gave it more HP and they gave it more pen. But the pen actually makes it work. But it's still not going to be any. It's good. The tank is between alright and good in my opinion. The tank's biggest problem is the gun handling and the lack of armor to compensate for the clip. You have 6.6 seconds to do your clip, and it's actually not that bad for how much damage does it has? 1560, I believe, right? Yeah. It's slow. At close ranges against tier 8s, you're gonna have a lot of fun, but I don't think this is 50 TP. The 432, I'm not gonna put it as trash, because it's still a medium tank. And it still can work because of the high pen. Made the armor so bad on it with the nerf. Like I don't feel like that nerf was justified at all on the 432 in my opinion. It's nothing special now. You get penned by literally most tanks, and you don't really have the gun handling to compensate for that. So I'll put it in the cam work. It's either I think it's cam work. 54 lightweight. It's gonna be between alright and can work. The 54 lightweight's problem is that it's gigantic. It's a moving ammo rack. It's very easy to hit. It's very big. You don't have gun depression really. It's going to be on par with the 90 or the RU one way or another, but it has some kind of armor. It's very, very unreliable. You don't really have pen. It has a nice gun, that's true. I guess it's alright. Like I don't think it's anything special. It's just alright. Like you can see that the EBRs just completely changed the meta, and they completely rendered other light tanks useless. Alright, the 777. I recently played it today, and I must say it's very, very disappointing. I had fully improved on it, and you can get 10.2 seconds reload. I mean, really? 10.2 seconds reload on a tier 9 heavy tank, fully improved, with the rammer directive, with 2.6 seconds aiming time. Yikes, man, it's horrible. This is not T10 level, this is not VZ level. Like, I'm never gonna put it next to the phase either. I don't think it's alright because it's better than these tanks for sure in terms of reliability. The armor is very, very troll on the sides, but that's pretty much it. It's a one-trick pony. That's about it. You have troll on the sides, and that's it. I think the armor is okay. 257 is very interesting. Since the side is very troll, you can reverse side script. You can bounce a lot of shots with it. The gun itself is alright. It has much better gun handling than the 777. It has much better reload than the 777. It's a smaller target than the 777. The armor is much more troll than the 777, the turret is smaller. Although the mounted is very easy to pen. It's a really good all-rounder. It has a good gun. It has good mobility. Not the best one, not T10 or VZ like. The gun, the armor is troll. The front plates suck. But then again, which tier 10 has good front plates? The Conqueror has trash ones. The Phase has trash ones. The VZ has trash ones. The T10 has trash ones. None of these tanks have good front plates. Like that's actually a big thing about tier 9 heavies. Like they don't really have armor unless you're playing a MAMX or a Moisen or side scripting these tanks. You can reverse with this tank and you can make it a beast, and it's gonna be good. 705. I think the 705 belongs in the very good tier, and the only reason is because this is the most reliable side scraping tank. The gun handling, the small gun handling is actually quite good for what it is. It has a shit ton of HP. I would definitely put it next to the 257 if I can. There's not much to say about it, to be honest. Like, it is just a Soviet tank. It's most of these tanks are copy pastas of each other, and you can side script with it, but that's the only thing about it. It's nothing special. The IS-32 are, I mean, I did hear people are saying it's good. So I guess you play it like this. You have 9 seconds reload. That's very good for. Oh, it's 390 alpha. I thought it's 440. It's 390 only. The aiming time is kind of bad. What is the penetration on this? 292. I guess that's okay for an APCR shell. Oh, side is kind of bouncy. This plate is kind of bouncy, but at the same time it's very easy to pan in the turret with gold shells. This part is just super flat. Even if you high roll with a regular shell, 280 is not gonna stop anything to pierce it. So I guess it's very easy to track as well most of the time, because it's gigantic. Like, look at the tanks we put here. We put the 50 TP here. We put the AML2 here. We put the 777 here, and the T30 and the Yak and the MX. I think this tank is on par with those and not with these ones. But then again, I think it feels more like good than very good. So 54. 54 was also like a big favorite of mine back in the day, and nowadays they kind of, you know, the guns were like kind of similar to each other, but there was no reason to use so one gun had 201 AP pen, the other one had 219, but one gun had so much better statistics that it was literally useless to use the other one over it. So and then they changed it. Then it's like 0.39, I believe, the accuracy, and it's very good DPM. But the 55A is just so much better. I'm not gonna put it in the good tier because this tank is just better than every one of these tanks in terms of reliability and flexibility. Just better. You have really good pen, you have really good DPM, still not as good as the 55A, not as good as a gun as the 55A, but you have armor, you have more armor, you have 120mm upper plate, you have a really good, not really a good turret, but decent turret. For me, definitely on par with these tanks, and it has good mobility as well. 56 kilometers an hour top speed, I believe. I think it's very reliable, and the pan, if it had bad pan, I would not put it here. I would put it in a good tier, or even alright. If it had bad pan, but it has 330 pan, and that's all you need. 704. I would like to mark this tank. I don't know. As I said many times, I have a weird fetish for tanks with the 704. Because the armor can work sometimes, but if I had to think realistically, it is really unreliable. And even though it is mobility, I would say it can work. I mean, we put the Chinese counterpart here, and because I said against tier 8s, this is absolutely good because you have some kind of armor, right? And as I said, tier 8s don't really flank you as much as tier 10s or tier 9s do. I would say it can work. I don't think it's trash tier. I think it's much better than the T95 or any of these tanks in terms of reliability. It has mega troll armor on the sides. Alright, we have the STI. That's so bad, man. The STI has been so long in the game, like 10 years in the game, and they just didn't make it work. Like the gun, no DPM, bad gun handling, very mediocre armor, gigantic lore play, gigantic cupola, easy to track. Those are 6 bad things, and there's nothing positive about it. And if there's nothing positive about the tank, then I guess it just belongs in the trash tier, unfortunately. Like most of these tanks that I put in the can work tier has at least some kind of positivity about them. But the STI doesn't have anything good about it, just bad. If they buff it, they have to buff the armor. They either have to buff the gun handling or the armor, and then it's gonna be moved up to the good section, I believe. It's gonna be on par with this at least. In my book, the T10 is always going to be worse than the VZ, and this is my opinion. Nobody's going to be able to change that. Nobody's going to be able to change that. I feel like the VZ's troll upper plate is much more reliable than the T10's upper plate is ever going to be. The turret is much better on the T10 than the VZ. It's very, very easy to hit these cupolas, in my opinion. But the gun, the 490 Alpha just makes it such a better tank. But then again, we have to compare the T10 not to these tanks, but to these tanks below it. And I think the T10 is performing much better than the Phase 1, much better than the 257, much better than the 705A. I would still put it in the outstanding tier. It's still a very good tank, very good DPM for what it is. Very good alpha damage, as I said, and 340 hit pen, and even 258 if you're shooting AP. And you can reverse with it as well. I think it's in the outstanding tier. I'm not gonna put it here because it's just more reliable than any of these tanks in my opinion. I think it goes on par with the Conqueror as well in reliability. It's worse than the VZ for sure. Good enough to be supreme. And then we have no argument about the T10 being worse than that and being in the same tier. I think it's like this, it's good. It was so much fun. The all 263 was so much fun. The armor was very troll. People didn't really have an idea to pen it. In the early days, the gun was absolutely amazing. 8 seconds reload for 550 alpha damage was so good. 330 APC open as well, but now tier 9, 12 seconds reload time. I mean, you compare the gun to the Yak Tiger, I guess, because you're gonna be taking the same positions as the Yak Tiger most of the time. 12 seconds reload for 550 alpha. That is just not gonna be good. That is just bad. And the gun doesn't behave nearly as good as the Yak Tiger. Not alright either, but definitely can work. Against the Conqueror, for example, you have no chance. Like, he can just shoot AP into your mantlet and he's gonna pan 50-50, obviously. With APCR, he's gonna maybe like 90-10, but you can just not do anything with this. It's really unreliable. 430. Hey, the 430 is... It's not really good in anything. The gun handling is very mediocre, the DPM is like worse than the E50. The mobility is not bad. It doesn't have pen, and that's the biggest issue about it. I wish it had pen, it would be such a good tank, but it doesn't have pen. So I think it goes into the if it had good pen category. It's better than these tanks for sure in terms of reliability. I think it's on par with these tanks, to be honest. The biggest issue it lacks is pen. If it had a 330 heat pen with 390 alpha damage with that reload, it would be absolutely brutal. Because you can sidescript with this thing, you can over-angle the sides, and people are gonna bounce that, because you can G-bait people into shooting your sides, and they're going to bounce that. But you just lag the pen, and that's a big factor. 270 pen is not gonna be good. And while it works on the E50, 270 pen works on the E50 because it has accuracy and aiming time. You can aim for weak spots with it, but on this tank you cannot afford to do that. Yes, you are right. You are right. Looking at these tanks, the AMX is just much more reliable. It's more reliable than this tank. It's more reliable than the 50 TP. I think with the small gun, this tank is actually quite reliable and definitely on par with the 257 and the 705. Yeah, it's between very good and good, 100%. But I'm more leaning towards good. Like, these tanks have all carry potential, and yeah, I think this is fine as it is, to be honest. Like, I am open to arguments about my list. I kind of want to put it in very good, but at the same time I am kind of reluctant. There is a reason you don't really see many MX-30s around, and there's a reason why Unicoms prefer the Type 61, I guess. I mean, I do. It doesn't have 330 heat pen as this one does. It has 300 only, and that's gonna make a massive impact in tier 10 games, a massive one actually. Thank you for watching, guys. Like and subscribe, comment. Thank you. Now that I made this list, I actually want to play the Conway a lot. With the 120mm. It's kind of gonna be hard to make it work, but it could be fun.